and Simone. I'm excited to be here with you today. Today we are going to be talking about Epstein and if he is actually dead, as well as some other updates from the Epstein files that we didn't cover in our last video. And again, it's a case of I decided to go into this. I decided to research this, and the claims and evidence I have seen pushed around for him not being dead, like the popular conspiracy theories, the tattoo one, the Fortnite one, they're generally pretty bad as far as evidence goes. However, I found a new one, or it's not entirely new, but it's mostly something that is not focused on, that I think is near bulletproof. Maybe not that he's not dead, but that there is an active cover-up of something tied to his death. And I will start by going into that one. But before I get to that, I also just wanted to briefly cover one thing that's really been annoying me is people keep being like, well, Stephen Hawking's in the Epstein files. And it's like, no, Stephen Hawking's went to Epstein Island for like a big scientist conference thing. There is no evidence at all that he was involved in anything sexual there. And like, how do you even broach that with Stephen Hawking? Like,
in the rig, how do you do it?
Even if you are interested in trying to entrap people and stuff like that, if you get Stephen Hawking to come to your island, just use it for the clout and don't, risk him, because you can't disappear Stephen Hawking if he turns out to like not be into this, right? Like
not be into it.
I see no evidence there. Where I do see very strong evidence is Steve Bannon. And if we have time at the end of this, I'll go into Steve Bannon more.
Okay.
Because wow. And I've always said that he was a complete swamp creature. And some people were like, oh, Malcolm, you should be nicer. He's done a lot for the conservative movement. And I'm like, no, he functionally hasn't. He's actually done a lot of damage to the conservative movement. He's probably about as bad as Ben Shapiro, if not a little worse, because he has actively prevented some political things from getting done just to play his swamp game. And he seems to be a less ethical person than Ben Shapiro, which is saying a lot. Ben Shapiro, I think, is just sort of a weasel, but he doesn't seem to be like actively like, I'm going to go out and do evil things. Whereas Steve Bannon is more like in the latter category. And we can get to that on the Steve Bannon parts of this.
So we stopped trying to be nice to people, apparently.
Well, he's never done anything for us. And we've been on the scene for a while at this point, don't try to rehabilitate, Epstein after you know everything he's done. How about that? But let's go into this, right? So I'm going to go into the really smoking evidence here, okay?
Okay, yes.
So there is documented evidence of a specific anonymous post which originated on 4chan shortly after Epstein's death on August 10th, 2019. Okay. It describes him as being wheeled out of his cell in a medical wheelchair after 4:15 a.m. inmate count. Front cuffed, handcuffs in the front, was a nurse presented, but no triage nurses claiming to have spoken to him, followed up by an unauthorized trip van arriving. The post implies this happened before the official medical discovery of his body at around 6:30, suggesting a possible covert extraction or body switch and no meaningful hospital interaction upon arrival. So you hear this and your initial thought is
you're saying people say he was wheeled out before his dead body was discovered.
Hold on. We're just laying out the initial piece of evidence here.
Okay.
Somebody anonymously on 4chan before he died said he was wheeled out before he died. Now you hear this and you say, okay, it is weird that somebody knew about this before this was all made public, but...
you're saying the time they posted it. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't catch that.
Hold on. But it's still just an anonymous 4chan post.
Right. But literally before he died, like chronologically in the time of our universe, on the day he died, 2 hours before he died.
Hold on. So for clarification, this was after he had died, but before that was made public.
Okay, go on.
Okay. So the full text as archived, because I want to get to this, not saying anything after this, please do not try to dox me. But last night after 0415 count, they took him, Epstein, to medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse says she spoke to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up, ? We do not do medical trips. They take inmates to Montefiores Rikers North Infirmary, intubate. Doubt it, dead on arrival equals DOA. Hospitals do not release information to correction officers, end quote. Okay. And so this appeared on the 4chan board at around the time of his death, which was about 40 minutes before the public announcement. But again, that turns out to be irrelevant. So you hear this and you're like, okay, this could be any of 1,000 things until the declassified Epstein files. And this is where this becomes an enormous smoking gun. So, and this was as of 2026, we now have this information.
Okay.
The identity of the person who posted this is Roberto Gravajal, a lieutenant corrections officer at the Metropolitan Correction Center, the MCC, where Epstein was held.
Oh, poor dude, he didn't want to be doxxed. I feel bad.
Right. The files include a subpoena issued by the U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman of the SDNY the day after Epstein's death, targeting 4chan, Apple, AT&T, and others to trace the IP and identify the source. Investigators subpoenaed Gershoff's banking and communication records, confirming his involvement. This gives the claim. So, hold on. So, what do we now know? Okay. We now know the person who posted this worked as a corrections officer in that facility. So, what else do we know? He is a real individual who worked at that facility at the MCC in New York City, the federal jail where Jeffrey Epstein was held, and died in August 2019. Not only that, but he was on duty during the relevant time period, including the night leading up to Epstein's death. But hold on, that becomes more important in just a second.
Well, but also because the government freaked out, right? And then we're like, who posted this? No.
Right. But it becomes more interesting. We haven't even gotten to why this is so fascinating.
What?
Why it's such a smoking gun.
I'm interested already.
Now, here's an even crazier thing.
Okay.
So we do, from the Epstein files, get some additional context on this guy.
Okay.
So he provided statements as part of the MCC's internal investigation into Epstein's death, e.g. on-guard protocols and events that night, which were released in the 2026 dump. There is, and here's a really important part, but we'll get to why it's important in just a second. There's no public record of him facing charges, discipline, or further legal action related to the post. Officials seem to have treated it as part of the broader probe into leaks and irregularity regarding the jail rather than pursuing him specifically. He does not appear to be involved in any Epstein-related lawsuits or testimony or searches for his name outside the context, mostly turn up unrelated people if you do searches. So, hold on. So we do have one other thing from him. So when they were doing the interviews of everyone at the facility, and this appears to be untied to the investigation to tie him to the 4chan post, okay?
Yeah.
He, August 12th, 2019, addressed the warden in Dale Inn with the title, quote, "Past information from special housing unit," end quote, where he describes routine inmate handling details from the day before Epstein's death. In it, Gershwell states that on Friday, August 9th, 2019, at approximately 1:50 p.m., he passed information to oncoming staff, Officer Davis, Officer Shakir, and Officer Joyer. Specifically, he noted that inmate Reyes 85993-053 was going WAB, likely a reference to a writ court appearance, and might not return, and that inmate Jeffrey Epstein would need a cellmate upon returning from his attorney visit. So this is incredibly important.
I thought he was supposed to be by himself.
No, he was mandated by court psychologists to always have another person in the cell with him. And this was because he was an unaliving risk.
I know, but that doesn't, like, it seems, I'm not stopping. Like, let's say that I'm put in someone else's cell and they're a little, on edge. I'm not going to stop them from, like, why are you putting that on an inmate? It's not their job.
In this prison, and it's good protocol to have. You're less likely to go through the presumably very long process given the way he killed
if someone else is there. Okay, fair enough.
If someone else is there. So the point here being is Epstein on every other night had somebody else in his cell.
Yeah.
That person was discharged the night before the unaliving happened. Okay. And we've gotten to in our other video on this, but we'll give a brief overview of all the other irregularities that have already come out tied to this.
Yeah.
The officer who happened to post the post saying Epstein looks like he was wheeled out in a wheelchair right before he supposedly died.
Yeah.
Also is the same officer who went to the warden and said, hey, Epstein is supposed to have another person in his cell with him. Why isn't there someone else in his cell with him? Basically, he was the one person we know for sure was actually doing their job.
Who wasn't quiet quitting.
Prison.
Yeah. Wow. Props to this dude.
But hold on,
they're mad at him for like making a fuss and posting on 4chan, but they were like, oh, but he's like the only guy who actually works here. We need to keep him anyway, even though we're really mad that he leaked this information, because if he quits, literally no one else will do their job.
Yeah, the one guy who didn't appear corrupted or bribed and was actually like, hey, this is an unaliving risk. Shouldn't we be doing something about this? Not just on 4chan, but to the warden himself.
Yeah.
Okay. And we have like records of this from the investigation. Okay. So this guy, upstanding guy, and very shockingly, just in case you're wondering, he hasn't died in a freak accident or anything.
Oh, that's good.
But hold on.
He's probably on edge right now, though.
This is the smoking gun. So this guy, all right, he posts this on 4chan.
Yeah.
They go like a swarm of angry bees pulling AT&T records, pulling all the like whatever records, etc. You know, you have to do a lot to find out exactly where a post came from on 4chan.
Yeah,
this was an extremely
they call him Bannon for a reason.
investigation, right? So they do all of this. Right. And keep in mind, from their perspective, this is just a random post on 4chan. Right.
Yeah.
Presumably the reason they're doing this, if this is a real investigation, is to find out, is this a random person? Right. Or is this somebody who might have relevant information to the case? All right.
Yeah.
That's presumably why they're going to all this effort to find out who posted this.
Yeah. And if it obviously weren't true, they wouldn't be interested, would they?
Well, no, they might be like, oh, did some random kid post this from their basement, right? Like, okay, the timing was weird, but it could be a troll. It could be somebody outside the facility. It could be somebody who have no idea what's going on. It could be somebody with a history of pulling pranks like this. It could be any number of things, right? So I'm an investigation. I want to know, is this somebody with actual information or is this a random somebody, right? You know, and if it's a random, you know, unreliable person, then it can be thrown away, right? But if it is somebody, right, I would want to do more investigation.
Absolutely.
Right? So they go through all this effort, they find out, yes, it's somebody with extremely credible information into what's happening. And they never interview him. They never do any post investigation. It stops right there. The extremely angry hornet's nest trying to figure out how somebody knew information like this beforehand stopped the moment they found out that this person might have credible information, or not just might, would likely have credible information. There is no, this isn't somebody who, like, you know, Bigfoot guy had done a lot of pranks before or something like that. This is quite the opposite. This is the one guy who is trying to get the prison to follow protocol.
Yeah. Gosh. This is really something.
Now we need to take some counterfactuals.
Okay.
What could explain this? Why did they not follow up with him? Why did they not interview him afterwards? Why did the investigation suddenly die the moment they knew the person who posted this had credible information? And not just die, it's like he didn't face any punitive action. It was just like, it's gone. It's over. We're not talking about this. Why? Okay. So few potential things. One is that they did have further investigation on him, and those files have just been fully redacted or were disappeared. Plausible. No, that looks really, really bad. Why would you disappear those files if what he told you could have been easily dismissed, right? If it wasn't real, why are those files gone? Okay. So if those files are gone, if we're in that world, right, that means that Epstein is still probably alive. Or something else really weird happened with his body that they're trying to cover up. Like he was taken out alive and then killed in another location. 2, what could have happened? What could have happened is the investigation was actively in on a cover-up, right? So if the investigation was actively in on a cover-up, why did they start buzzing around in a spasm the moment it looked like somebody had inside information? Oh, because they wanted to silence whoever might have inside information. If they had enough information or like a picture or something like that that could blow this open, right? So that part still makes sense. Then they find the guy. They find out either he has no more credible information or they were easily able to blackmail him because he hasn't really talked about this since.
Well, and has Doxed Anon continued to work at this corrections facility or not?
He doesn't work there anymore, but he appeared to work there for a while after this.
Do we know what he does now?
Haven't gone into it. Didn't want to dox him further.
I'm like, that would kind of indicate whether he's been paid off. You know what I mean? Though, Doxed Anon, you're a bro, and I'm sorry. We don't want to.
The one honest guy.
I know. The loneliest man in the world.
But the point that I'm making here,
yeah,
is okay. So we live in a world where the investigation was in on it and was looking to see if they needed to silence anyone. Found the guy, and then what they were concerned was silencing him. So they didn't really want any conversation they have to be on the books, and so those records were never created in the first place. They were just like, you can't ever talk about this again.
Right. Yeah.
So in that scenario, it also means something fishy happened and he was either murdered, but even more likely than that he was taken out, extracted alive.
And now that I'm thinking about it, he was the kind of person, I mean, as we saw from like this Bill Gates email that he sent to himself as like, here's like, presumably he sent that Bill Gates STI email to himself, assuming that it could work as blackmail in the future. I mean, he was very good on blackmail. Like in other cases, totally unrelated to Bill Gates and other people, he was very, very, very good at getting dirt on people, especially like financial and tax related dirt that would really put them in a bind if they ever crossed him. I imagine he had some.
You'd be very happy to know.
Yeah.
What happened to this guy? So here's what we know from the records.
Okay.
He continued to work at the MCC facility until it was closed down in 2019 due to controversy surrounding Epstein's death. After that, he's never had a job again.
No! No. You're a bro. Like, hide.
No, that's not my takeaway from that.
What?
Well, he had a good record. It seems that most of the people at the facility were transferred to other facilities. It seems that somehow he came into generational wealth. That's what I take away. You don't randomly just stop working like that when you have as clean a record as this guy did.
It would either take the money or get window cancer. What do you want, Malcolm? You take the money.
I mean, I guess good end for the one honest corrections officer.
Honestly, yeah. I'm like, get your bag, sir. We thank you for your service. You tried, okay? Now don't die. You tried. They got you. The system is corrupt. You learned your lesson. Enjoy your retirement. Please don't get offed. But okay, so I could see this now that I'm thinking about it. Like Epstein really would have some kind of dead man switch where he's like, listen, I may be in jail, but if I don't ping into this system every however many days, all of your secrets will be revealed. And that enough people with influence and power were able to get him out because they could not afford for those secrets to get out. I don't know. What do you think? Like that, I feel like that could be enough
to have for an intelligence agency that looks after their own. Like
no. I'm sorry, but like, yeah, this whole no man left behind thing, it's sweet and they try sometimes, but people don't care. Like people double cross and screw people over all the time.
By the way, one of the craziest Epstein leaks, I haven't looked to confirm this one yet, but did you know that he You know what the Kaaba is? The really famous Muslim thing that they all do their prayers and walk around, and it's got the rock inside in Mecca?
No, so it's a pilgrimage site?
It's the most famous Muslim pilgrimage site.
I thought Mecca was the most famous Muslim pilgrimage
It's
site.
in Mecca.
Oh, so it's the thing you see in Mecca.
When you go to Mecca, it's the main thing you see.
It's the Cinderella's castle of Disneyland.
You know, in Mecca, there's like a little square boxy thing that people walk around.
It's such a blind spot for me. I'm
literally
sorry.
the most sacred thing in Islam.
Okay,
so anyway,
when you said Kaaba, I thought like, oh, isn't that like a fast casual Mediterranean restaurant? Sorry.
Well, the fans love you because they say that you help establish facts that like the normal fan doesn't know either. Simone will change it.
I just pooped face.
Okay. So he paid the Saudi Arabian government, it looks like, for a part of the Kaaba to use as a rug for part of its covering.
Oh, wait, he like what? Epstein
literally was effing girls on the Kaaba cover. Like an extremely sacred Islamic artifact.
I mean, he also, from my understanding of all the coverage, contributed to the foundation of 4chan. This guy knew how to troll. So you gotta respect that. He did some atrocious, horrible things. He also trolled.
Yeah. So it is sacrilege to an entire, talk about, you want to get back.
I honestly don't know how he could have actually done something so sacrilegious though. Like, how do you even get access to that?
He bought it from the Saudi Arabian government, from the crown prince.
Would they actually sell that though?
If he had contraband on them, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
By the way, on the evidence for the pieces of the Kirsha, the black and gold embroidered cloth that covers the Kaaba in Mecca, in 2017, a shipment arranged through private contracts in Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. Emails in the files detail logistics, including coordinates by Emirati businessmen, I will not be able to pronounce these names, with items labeled as picture frames or artwork to transport via British Airways cargo from Saudi Arabia to Epstein's residence in Florida and the Virgin Islands. The pieces included one from the Kaaba's inner lining, one from the used exterior covering, and one unused fragment made of the same material. A shipping invoice valued them at approximately $10,980, which some reports online, that's no way though. It would have cost way more than that. Yeah, he clearly had contraband on somebody, and they shipped him part of the holiest site in all of Islam. That is absolutely wild. That is completely wild. Okay, so to Simone's earlier question about policy, Bureau of Prisons BOP policy at the time required high-risk inmates like Epstein, who had attempted unaliving weeks earlier, to have a cellmate as a safeguard, even after he was removed from the unaliving watch list on July 30th. Epstein's previous cellmate, Efren Reyes, was transferred out that day, leaving him alone overnight, a key factor in the DOJ's later criticism for MCC staff negligence. Wait, he had attempted unaliving before?
Yeah, that was never clear to me why he was seen as a risk at all, because I hadn't heard some story about him making attempts or showing signs of serious depression. But maybe this was a long time ago.
Hold on, I'll do the other suicide attempt first. So there is evidence that Jeffrey Epstein was involved in an incident in 2023, 2019, 18 days before his death, that federal officials investigated and described as an unaliving attempt. He was found unresponsive in his cell at the MCC in New York, lying in a fetal position with marks and bruising on his neck from what happened to be a noose fashioned from an orange fabric or a bedsheet. Prison guards performed CPR, and he was briefly hospitalized before being placed on unaliving watch for 31 hours. Why hasn't this been talked about more? However, Epstein himself denied it was an unaliving attempt and instead accused his cellmate at the time, former police officer Nicholas Tanjane, who was facing murder charges, of assaulting him during a quote-unquote experiment or prank involving a rope or cloth around his neck. Whoa, that is sketchy. A former police officer was with him in his cell and didn't stop him from attempting to unalive himself, and Epstein said he's the one who did it? How did I not hear about this? In subsequent interviews with psychologists, Epstein repeatedly stated that he had no suicidal ideation, describing suicide as crazy and against his Jewish faith, and he claimed he could not be remembering the incident due to
someone attempted to murder him in his cell.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, well, specifically a former cop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just hearing about this now in this investigation. Okay, to continue, maybe that's why he was so eager to get out quickly. He's like, I can't stay in here anymore. I got to call the bros. Let's go to the Fortnite theory, okay? This theory is unfortunately maybe strong, maybe not as strong. So let's go over it. All right. So there's been some pictures that have come out. The files include a receipt titled May 7th, 2019, which show a $25.95 charge for V-Bucks on Fortnite. Now, this was about 3 months before Epstein's death. V-Bucks are Fortnite's in-game currency. Wait, was Epstein out of jail at that time? Okay. So he was free at that time. Okay. I was just checking if we could confirm that this wasn't made by Epstein, but it appears possible that it was made by Epstein. So one, we know that Epstein did, or somebody using his card did pay for Fortnite stuff, right? It could have been one of his staff, but somebody paid for Fortnite stuff.
Right. Okay.
So, and we do know Epstein was a rabid gamer of the type of games like this. So it's completely within every caricature we know of Epstein that he was a rabid Fortnite player.
An avid Fortnite gamer.
Rabid.
Anyway,
Okay,
fine.
So separately, the documents reveal Epstein's YouTube username was littlestjeff1, connected to his email, jeevvacation@gmail.com. This account
can someone explain to me why people just add numbers to their name? When is this ever okay? Like, sorry. Like, even littlest Jeff1, can we, like... Sorry, go on.
So online sleuths then went to Fortnite to see if they could find a player with the name Littlest Jeff 1, right? And they did. And if you look at this player, there's a lot of very interesting things about it. For example, the one time that this player did not play any Fortnite was during the period in which Epstein was in jail. Other than that, it played a ton of Fortnite, both right after he died and before he was jailed. So that does not look good. Here's the problem with this theory.
Okay.
It's that Epic Games, Fortnite's developer, quickly addressed this on X. This was a ruse by a Fortnite player. A few days ago, an existing Fortnite account owner changed their username from something totally unrelated to Littlest Jeff 1, following the revelation of Littlest Jeff 1 as the name, Epstein's name on YouTube. So here's the problem with that. Okay. And we'll go over it because we'll go over the details of this.
Okay.
One, if it is true that Epstein was not this other account, right?
Yeah.
Why don't they release his real account name? Like, we still don't know what his real account name was. And so if they could just release his real account name, it'd be very easy to see that he hadn't been on this for a while, right? Two, if you look at the go back, whatever's
the Wayback machine,
as some people did, you could find it. You could find it under that name.
Littlest.
The problem is that thing on the Wayback machine disappeared in real time, basically while sleuths were looking at it.
So they're like, the page is loaded and then it just disappears.
Yeah. So we don't have strong evidence there of whatever the heck that was. We just know that some people say it could be Dr. Images, that the Wayback machine shed that. I personally would, to the Fortnite lead, I'm gonna have to say low probability. The reason I say low probability is Epic Games quickly doing a confirmation like this is a pretty big thing to do, especially given that Epstein files are constantly being released and they could be in them next if they are hearing from somebody that they need to hide this. You know, it seems like the forces that are trying to get the Epstein stuff out there are having more and more success as time goes on.
Yeah.
I would not stick my neck out like that if I was them. So on that front, I don't know. I don't see it as that much of a smoking gun, given that anyone can choose one of these account names. And then two, there's a two-parter here. We only know of him using this account name on YouTube. I've heard that he used it in other places. I've seen no evidence that he's used it in other places. That being the case, you have to ask yourself, as Simone pointed out, he called himself Littlest Jeff 1, right? Usually when somebody's choosing like a standard username, what they'll do is they'll choose something like Littlest Jeff, and then they'll put 1 at the end of it if there happens to be another Littlest Jeff within that platform.
Which is so stupid.
I know you don't like it, but some people really have like one name that's like their name. So when they're doing Warcraft, if there's another Littlest Jeff and they want to talk,
then they do the real Donald Trump, the real
yeah, and then you run out of things because then everybody starts doing the real, and then
the numbers is worse. There's zero, and he was a Jew, so he was a word cell, so he would have been cool with that. That's I don't know. I just feel like, and he was a performative intellectual. He
the
viewed
reason
himself
he
internally.
probably put Littlest Jeff 1 in the account on YouTube is that there was already a Littlest Jeff account, right? If he had other Littlest Jeff's accounts, it is probably likely they wouldn't have been labeled 1. They would have been labeled either Littlest Jeff or Littlest Jeff and then whatever number comes after that, right? Now, even if that's not the case, that's one thing that I find suspicious about this. But even if that's not the case, it's also important to note that we have literally zero evidence, which is actually surprising to me, given that if he is this much of a Fortnite fanatic, that he ever claimed or in anything seemed to show that he had the Fortnite account Littlest Jeff 1. Now, there is one pushback you could make on this.
Okay.
Why was he kicked off of Xbox?
I don't remember. Oh, because he used the N-word? No.
Because he was a sex offender. That might be why he hid what his Fortnite name was and why we have no confirmation of it anywhere else in the documents, because he was afraid of being kicked off for being a sex offender.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Of course. Why did I not think of that? And why would I think that the N-word's going to get you kicked off?
I think he might have also been kicked off of something for saying the N-word. I just want to be clear that that was the main reason.
I don't know, but like, I don't know. If you get kicked off a platform with chat for using the N-word or the F slur word or other things, I don't know. I feel like you're going to get kicked off if you don't use those terms, unless things have gotten that bad online. God, I hope not.
Yeah.
Is trash talk dead? Anyway.
So now let's talk about some of the other leaks that people have gotten crazy about.
Okay.
The blurry orange picture that came on the cell, like the camera images from the MCM, and I see this as literally irrelevant. It does not matter. I understand that it wasn't in some of the reports, but I could have easily missed this. You could have easily missed this. A person could easily be like, that just looks like a prisoner and a guard, which is what it looks like. So I don't take it.
Until we actually get enhance, there's just nothing we can do.
Okay, so next. Let's go to the ear one, because the ear one is one of the ones where when you do your own research, as I don't understand why other people don't do this, it looks a lot less suspicious than it looks at first.
So to give context, people were comparing pictures from Epstein's alleged corpse when he died and his ear in normal times, and we're comparing the ear shapes and saying this is not the same ear, right?
Yeah, and they do look nothing alike in the pictures that you see going around on X.
Okay.
And for people who are not familiar with this used to be the way that they did fingerprinting, was ear shape, because it's incredibly unique.
It was a very unique identifier. For example, a very high profile example of this was when the Romanov dynasty had been, murdered, but people thought that Anastasia was still alive. When new pretenders who said, I'm Anastasia, I am a Romanov, they would compare their ears and be like, but don't you see, there is no resemblance. And yes, so this is, now they're just going back to this.
Yeah. So let's go to what some people are saying on X about this.
Okay.
Because a lot of people are just like, well, you change things on your body, change shape as you die, right? Like
Right. Things swell, things recede. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So one person is acknowledging that, and then he goes, yet the cartilage flattening on the nose makes no sense. The cartilage in the ear should be shrinking back. Makes no sense, because we're seeing that the nose actually seems to puff up in these pictures rather than down, right? Into a shape that is, and I'll note that the nose is going to turn out to be more important than the ear in just a second here.
Oh,
Another
boy.
person says there are a lot of changes that begin to show almost immediately. The ear thing is incredibly odd, though. The folds and creases in our ears are as unique as fingerprints. After death, the lobes can stretch and retract. The creases, however, would remain the same. They are cartilage, and it would take a minimum of 24 hours to make a change of that kind aside from color. The ears of a postmortem photo are not the same as Epstein's. Here, we have one person, W. Davis Merritt, MD. Wow, I am an ear and nose and throat surgeon. I operate on ears. Those ears are not from the same person. He says, I cannot attest to the source or validity of the photos, but all it takes is a hair sample from one of his houses or a prior specimen from surgery, and then a DNA test of a specimen of the corpse, which of course we're not going to get. So what I immediately tried to do when I saw all of this, because I was like, yeah, those ears clearly do not look the same when you draw those little images on them, right?
Yeah, people were like putting the ears into MS Paint or whatever, and then just tracing over the.
Yeah, but even without the images that are sort of traced on them, I can just look at the two without the images, and I like that they include the two without the images and be like, those look like different ears. So
yeah.
I dug into when do ears change, how do they change throughout our lives, etc. And the bigger change that could have happened isn't post-death, but as he aged.
Yeah.
So I then said, okay, that picture they're using for comparison looks pretty young.
Yeah.
So can I find a picture that looks from around the same or at least later?
You clever girl.
Clever girl.
Oh.
So the best image I have found for this, unfortunately, has some images over his ear, but you can still kind of see it. If you look on, compare the ear in that image to the ear of the cadaver. You see, it looks much more similar. The thing that I'm really looking for in the ear is if you look at that little weird dangly bit that he has.
The ear doodle.
One is the weird dangly bit that he has that doesn't appear to be in the Epstein alive photo or as clearly.
Ears are weird.
And the other is the little out bit at the front of it, right?
Yeah.
The problem is that the other images of him that are as old, this ear, the one with the money sign in front of it, does have the dangly bit looking small like that. And it does have the extrusion on the other side looking similar.
Yeah, his ear doodle is because if you're looking at the cadaver versus young image of him, his ear doodle is super long when he's younger, and then it got shorter. And if you look at the other old picture that Malcolm dug up, his ear doodle is shorter.
Yeah,
it's
it looks
long.
much more.
So as he aged, his ear doodle shortened.
This is one of him in the red sweatshirt.
Okay, now, that's a short ear doodle.
That looks almost exactly like the cadaver.
His ear doodle got way shorter. Yeah. Oh my gosh, people were just being silly. They were just getting old photos.
Yeah, they're just not looking at more modern photos.
And actually, look at his nose too.
No, but his nose is harder to explain. His nose, when he's dead, does look genuinely different from his nose in either of these.
No. His nose looks more rounded in the red shirt photo. So the difference
more rounded.
For those who are listening, the difference is pointed out in his nose was he had a much more rounded, we'll say Jewy looking nose when in the dead cadaver video. Whereas in the younger photo and the comparison photo used by the conspiracy people, it looks very straight. It's a very straight nose. But when you look at a later age red sweatshirted photo of Jeffrey Epstein, he does have a little more of a curve to the top of his nose. I think. Which would make sense. I think noses and ears get bigger-ish when you grow, perhaps because other parts of your body recede due to collagen loss, right?
Yeah. So basically, I see this one as possibly something to look into, but I don't.
I'm calling it. This is labeled Nothing Burger in my mind. I find Fortnite
actually,
more
this
compelling.
is very important because if that is the cadaver of Jeffrey Epstein, it means that the cop who said he saw him being wheeled out in a wheelchair was wrong. Because this was taken in the facility, right? So it would mean that they may have had, and this is where it gets interesting because I didn't know this.
Unless they wheeled him out in a wheelchair and then. I'm sorry, we were just watching Apothecary's Diaries last night, and someone took a mysterious potion that made them appear dead so that they could escape from a certain situation. It's not implausible that they put him into some kind of coma that made him appear dead.
What I would say is if this operation was done as well as everyone thinks it's done, they didn't have just a random body match. They probably had something that looked a lot closer to him.
Or they really, really, really heavily sedated him. Like they did wheel him out in a wheelchair at that time.
Maybe. Well, no, the official narrative is they didn't wheel him out in a wheelchair. If he was actually wheeled out in a wheelchair, that means something really fishy happened because all the official narratives say that didn't happen.
Yeah, but the 4chan guy did. And that was the most compelling thing you surfaced.
Right. But if he's right, that means that there was never a cadaver in the MCC. He said this happened before all of this. So he couldn't have been in the MCC for these pictures. It would have to be a fake body. But the other interesting thing is that police admit there was a fake body.
Wait, what?
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that yet. We'll get to that in just a second.
Sorry, wait.
I keep learning things. I'm like, wait, what?
Why are people so stuck on like these other loops when there's this to talk about? What? You're running this right away, right? You're not going to sit on this episode.
No, I'm not going to sit on this. This is going.
I want to share this with our friends. Okay, thanks.
Okay. So you're excited to see people's reaction to this?
I want to. Yes. How? Like, what else are we missing? Okay. Let's go. Tell me. Go.
Okay. So the other one is the tattoo. That he had a barbed wire tattoo on it. And it's so funny. If you ask an AI about this, it'll go like, oh no, this was debunked by the mortician's report and the chief medical examiner's report. And I'm like, if the conspiracy is true, of course they didn't see it. The conspiracy is that it wasn't on the body, right? And it is in older photos. And
what if it was a temporary tattoo?
But there is a claim that in a 2017 deposition excerpt where Epstein is asked, quote, the tattoo on your arm of barbed wire, end quote, and he allegedly responds, yes. Here's the problem. This deposition excerpt is not in the Epstein files, and I cannot confirm it as authentic at all. It appears to be entirely fabricated. Then there is a picture purportedly showing Epstein bare-chested with the tattoo on his arm. There are two problems with this. One is that it is confirmed as an AI generated image. And the second is that it looks like an AI generated image. If you look at it, where the tattoo is on his arm looks very, very smooth, while the rest of his body is very, very hairy. And that would be harder for AI to replicate, is hair on top of a tattoo. Whereas if it was going to try to put a fake tattoo on his arm, it would have it look smooth. And then 3, the reason I really don't believe this is this would be something that would come up everywhere in the records. If he had a tattoo, this would be noted when he's put into prison. This would be noted when he goes on trial. This would be noted every time he goes to the beach. Yet we have a single photo of this tattoo, not multiple photos.
Also, this is not the tattoo that Epstein would get.
It's also not the tattoo Epstein would get.
Like, yeah, like I would. This is like the male version of a tramp stamp. I don't.
If you tell me he had like a Zelda tattoo or something, I'd believe it, right? Like,
yeah, or some stupid, religious imagery, some kind of triangle. I would
Latin word or something. Or
yeah, exactly. But like,
barbed wire. Come on,
famous
guy.
quote. No, I'm sorry, but like, yeah, that ain't.
It's not just a bad hoax. It's like a poorly thought through.
I know. Come on, like choose better and just find any stupid quote or like philosopher that he refers to in any email ever, and just take a quote from them and change it into Latin and put it on his body. But don't. Anyway, yeah, you're right. I think that's a very good analysis. I concur, sir.
Yeah. And note here, we're not going over the stuff like the inconsistencies with hanging and everything like that. You've got to go to our other video on Epstein. I'm not going to waste fans' time who have already gone through our
talked about
analysis
this.
of the missing photo time, because there was missing minutes. There was, and it appears since then there is a further edited out time, which I might cover briefly here. I've covered the doctor's reports, but if this theory is true, pretty much everything tied to the other theory was specifically what Epstein wanted us to think. He specifically wanted the debate to be about whether or not he was murdered, so people weren't asking, is he still alive?
All right. So yes, the doubt was meant to be around how he died, not whether he died. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Smart. Cool.
Yes.
Misdirection. Classic magician's trick. Look over here. Well, I palm something. Yeah.
We also talked a lot about the guards in that video, which again could be relevant to this, could not be relevant to this.
Wow. Wait, no, but go on to the fake body.
Okay.
Can you talk about the fake body?
Now. The first public report came at 8:45 a.m. ET via ABC News reporter Aaron Keitz's tweet. There appears to have been a report of Jeffrey Epstein's death at a Manhattan hospital. ABC's main account followed at 8:59 a.m. ET. This puts the 4chan post. So this was the 4chan post, 38 minutes to 40 minutes ahead. This was what I was talking about earlier. The other element you mentioned is a leaked New York Times photo from August 10th, 2019, showing Epstein on a gurney being wheeled into the hospital. His face is visible, uncovered, appears to be somewhat pinkish, and there's no body bag, leading to theories that he's alive or the scene was faked. This ties to broader body thought conspiracies. The photo was taken by paparazzo or bystander outside the hospital amid a media frenzy. Epstein was transported alive or recently deceased for the official procurement, so standard protocol might not require full covering if resuscitation was ongoing or it just ended. Recently, 2026, DOJ files released reveal a twist. Jail officers had allegedly staged a quote-unquote decoy operation to sneak the real body out later. They used boxes and sheets to mimic a body, loaded it into a white van labeled medical examiners to distract the media while the actual body was moved discreetly via another exit. This was to avoid paparazzi capturing graphic images, but it backfired by sparking more suspicion when the details leaked. And so the photo of him without his face being covered and looking alive-ish or pinkish is a real photo. We do know that, but people say, oh, it's plausible. But then the thing is, it's like, okay, but they're already saying they had a fake, right? Now, we know the fake wasn't made to look exactly like Epstein, but now I'm thinking, well, okay, so let's assume the first cop is right? And this was actually a real cover-up. That would mean that the fake was made to look exact. They had two fakes. They had one that was like a very obviously fake, a bunch of boxes under sheets, and then the other that was a more detailed representation of Epstein, or a cadaver made to look like him.
Or just, I mean, like a prosthetic body or whatever, like a fake body. You can do that.
Yeah, this was a thing that's new to just the missing minutes. So additionally, metadata analysis of DOJ's release files indicates a larger edit. Nearly 3 minutes, specifically 2 minutes and 53 seconds, were trimmed from one of the source clips just before the jump, shortening the original from 4 hours 19 minutes to exclude the footage at 11:58:58. This video also appears to be a screen recording rather than a raw export, with visible cursor menus on the screen at times, allowing for post-processing. Now, attorney Pam Bondi stated that the 2025 was missing a minute due to a nightly reset, except now there's additional missing time on top of that minute.
Well, it's the second nightly reset, and then there's the 11sies, and then the lunch reset, and then...
However, this has been contradicted by multiple sources. A high-level government insider familiar with the investigation told CBS News that there was no such reset, and that the DOJ's Inspector General, IG, report from 2023 makes no mention of any missing minute or nightly gaps. Comparison to footage from other nights, as analyzed by media investigators, do not show simpler resets or cuts, raising questions about why that specific night has these anomalies. Now, note here, these anomalies do something else that was always confusing for me. Okay, so they had 2 minutes and 53 seconds to get him out. And those 2 minutes and 53 seconds occur at around midnight, right? Around 11:58, okay?
Yeah.
So that's really not enough time to strangle someone. If somebody was going to go into his cell and set up a fake strangulation and then sneak out on time, I was like, that's really cutting it close. Like, not just cutting it close, but just difficult, right? Like,
can't you just snap the neck?
Right, but you still had to set it all up. Remember, he hung himself in this really weird way.
Elaborate. Yeah.
He had to like put additional pressure because he didn't actually have enough space to hang himself. And some people are like, you couldn't even do it like that. Note here, if you want to get into all the stuff about the way his bones broke, that seems implausible for a hanging, or the directionality of the rope that seems implausible, go to our previous video on this. Like, really, you're going to get almost no overlap between the two videos because we're covering totally new ground here. But
and that's our service to you as Base Camp.
We respect your time. But that stuff required time to set up. That unique hanging strategy that he was using, right? That would certainly, you have to first kill him. And he died of asphyxiation, even though he had the damage to his bones. It wasn't like they broke his spine. That would have been very easy to check, right? So he died of asphyxiation at the very least. So that takes time. That doesn't happen instantaneously, right? Now, suppose he was actually alive, though. 3 minutes seems perfectly plausible to open a cell door and escort somebody who is interested in going with you and then setting up a body double.
That's true.
That's much more plausible for a 3-minute gap.
Indiana Jones switcheroo.
The Indiana Jones switcheroo. So that is not good for them. And also the timing is interesting here. The fact that happened at midnight, they didn't find out about him being gone, like dead, and begin to act on all this, I think, until around 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And the other guy said he saw him being wheeled out at around 4:30 a.m. So if you helped him sneak out at midnight and then you took him somewhere, stashed him, changed the way he was dressed or something like that, got him in a wheelchair, I can see that taking a few hours, waiting on like gaps in patrols and stuff like that. Then you wheel him out, and that aligns with the time windows that we're seeing here.
Yeah, securing transport and everything. Or possibly even getting, I don't know, like the molds to make the mask of the body that you're putting in. I don't know. But yeah, there's stuff to do when you're switching out people.
The final conspiracy chain that we'll pull on here is, did anything weird happen with his body? So, there's also the fact that the scene wasn't maintained and treated as a crime scene in the way it should have been maintained.
Really?
Suspicious, but we see a lot of, stuff from these sorts of individuals. Then there's body handling irregularities. Epstein's body was claimed by a quote unquote unidentified associate, later revealed to be his brother marked and buried in an unmarked grave. And the cellmate and the cell was not treated as a crime scene, no full inspection. Hospital logs show pronouncement at 7:36 a.m., but some claim minimal staff involvement, including the one very verifiable claim from the guy who disappeared. Not disappeared, but it seems to not need a job anymore. So I found this interesting, the brother claim. I was like, well, if his brother was in on all this, as it appears he was, see if he hired the additional, so this is, let's assume we're in the world where he's still alive.
Okay.
He gets brother to hire an investigator and have the investigator tell everyone, no, this was a murder, not an unaliving. And then that controversy prevents anyone from asking the other question, which is he still alive? And so I was like, well, then it doesn't matter. If his brother says that he was the unidentified person who picked up Epstein, that doesn't matter because his brother's in on the whole thing, right? But it turns out that there's a lot of court documents and all of this. So the fact that his body was picked up by an unnamed associate isn't that big a deal. I mean, I'm still like, why does the brother want to be an unnamed associate? Everyone's going to eventually find out it's his brother, right? And it's not weird to pick up your brother's court, even if your brother is like a mass murderer. Who else? Somebody's got to pick it up, right?
The endless family. Yeah, I mean,
is the logical choice here. There is a very interesting chain here about him trying to get in with Putin, but it appears
what does this have to do with his death?
Could be how he had the means to escape prison, but I'm honestly not seeing smoking gun. Like with the Putin stuff, it's more sort of pathetic because it seems that Putin blew him off for a long time, even though he clearly had good contraband on people. Putin's like, I don't know, I don't want to get involved with that Epstein guy.
Do you mean compromat?
Whatever you want to call it, sweetheart. I don't speak. But anyway, so
you don't speak commie.
Yeah, I don't speak that commie tongue. Putin eventually does seem to have been working with him, but that can be for a separate video because we're going long here. We can also talk about the Steve Bannon weird attempt to gentrify Epstein's reputation after everyone knew he was a child predator.
To de-degen him.
Like, I don't even get what Bannon was thinking. It's not like Epstein got caught with, say, like Vosh stuff, like weird furry or horse whatever porn or something, or some weird hentai, which is one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's weird, but like I can understand you feeling bad for the guy and wanting to rehabilitate him. It was actual children, you know, like real human beings, and Bannon knew this. And then he also was sex trafficking, and Bannon knew this. And like, Bannon's takeaway was, yeah, why don't I spend a lot of money putting together like a professional full-length documentary trying to rehabilitate your image within like the American right specifically, because that's Bannon's audience? What? Why? Excuse me? Yeah, that was not necessarily awesome. So anyway, Simone, but I've always not liked what Steve Bannon represents. He literally feels like a deep state bureaucrat type. He's the deep state of the right.
Oh, so that's why you call him a swamp creature. I was like, I don't know, you're mixing metaphors the wrong way.
No, he is MAGA deep state. He is MAGA institutionalism. And where MAGA suffers is where people like him try to enforce institutionalist values on the MAGA ecosystem.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Oh.
And I personally bristle against that. You know, embrace the renegades. Don't try to enforce your top-down hierarchical way of running everything. But of course, somebody who's really tight with Epstein is gonna see the world that way. It's for the elite to manage things. And elite is defined by whether you're in the right social networks and you say the right thing and you act the right way, and everyone else is a non-elite.
Yeah.
And I find that to be to me, it's a repellent way of seeing the world. It makes me like sort of bristle and like, I don't want to deal with that. Whereas here's a great example of like where he's different from Trump, right?
Yeah.
Nick Fuentes ends up showing up at Trump's estate, and people can know I have my political differences with Nick Fuentes, but he engages Trump with like has a bunch of ideas that Trump finds very exciting, and Trump like takes him to lunch and has this long conversation with him where they just like nerd out about like statistics and
that must have been a really I wish I were
Unit 101. Did you know? Did you know 1 in 3 aliens have some sort of weapon built into their physiology? Are aliens inherently violent? Interesting. Huh? Did you know some aliens are single mothers on a genetic level? I wonder if it affects the behavior of the children. Curious. Tell them about per capita. I'm getting to it.
Because Trump doesn't actually look down on people. Like he actually is very much like, oh yeah, what you see?
He's a yes and kind of person. Yeah, well, my favorite thing that I've heard about him recently is that he's the kind of guy where in a meeting, if he feels like he can solve a problem, he'll just like pick up a phone and be like, let's solve it right now. Like, let's do this. And I love that kind of person who's like, okay, I'm going to call this person. Like, maybe they can just make this go away. And he will use his business connections or whatever to do it. He's very yes and get her done. And I love that. Not like
Steve Bannon, if you showed up at you know his Breitbart or something and you were Nick Fuentes with Yee, he's just gonna have security yell at you or something, right? Like very different approaches to people he sees as beneath him.
Yeah. Fair enough. That is fair enough. This was fascinating. If Epstein is alive, man, he must be having so much fun.
He probably watches Base Camp. If Epstein is alive, oh, come on. Have you seen his interview?
I guess he is terminally, he was terminally online, it seems. Although, I don't know though, because I was listening to old audio of him, I think, talking to a former prime minister, I think, of Israel. I can't remember which one. Maybe it was Bibi. I can't remember. But he was trying to spell and or pronounce Palantir, and just butchering it. And I mean, everyone is talking about how terrible he was at emails too, but like he wasn't in with the tech right. He was like, there's this guy, Peter Thiel, the best. I haven't met him, but like he just didn't seem to really be in with the tech.
Yeah. There is no Peter Thiel in the files as far as I know.
No, I think they met at some point, and Peter Thiel was interviewed about him, but it was at least at a certain point in time, he was really not in with the Silicon Valley elite.
So what's funny is people have said the reason why people like Peter Thiel and Elon and Trump seem to have been resistant to him is that they already had harems. So he had nothing to offer them, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I got a harem at home, buddy. Like, I don't need to go to your creepy island.
Yeah.
My harem's vetted, you know?
Yeah.
And this is the thing where people will be like, well, Trump has done sexual, whatever, bad things in the past. It's like, yeah, he absolutely has, but I don't think he did them with Epstein. I think the biggest smoking gun we have on Trump and Epstein is not from this release of files, but the birthday card. The birthday card is by far the biggest smoking gun we have on Trump, and it's not even that smoking.
I don't know. I feel like that it was one of those like, hello, fellow perv, just like old powerful men like to joke about, or at least at a time when it was considered chic to do so, liked to joke about how they were old powerful men and like, ha ha, boobs, ha. I mean, like it's the old rich man version of like joking about boobs as like a teen boy, you know?
Yeah, but he used the term young.
That was Jeffrey's thing.
Well, yeah, and Trump apparently was aware. I mean, he said it in
he
other
joked
videos.
about it. He's like, he likes them really young. Yeah, I mean, like,
like this guy is like to reporters, like maybe look into that. Like,
yeah. I love the way he talks.
One of my biggest fears recently is I've been talking to Simone because I look at Jeffrey's stuff on like genetic engineering of children and like cloning and his attempts to set that up, and I'm like, could we have known him? Like, if he was still active today, would we be in the Epstein files? Like, I told Simone almost certainly he would have found some way to contact us. We would have replied because I'm interested. I mean, if he's setting up a lab, I want to know about it, right?
No, but like, I think had we known about his creepy,
right? But I'm saying if all that's not out yet.
But it was out like in 2008, wasn't it? It was like this stuff was really public.
Alternate timeline, all of that never gets out.
Oh, okay. So had he never become a sex offender and gone to jail?
No, he was a sex offender, just people didn't know. That was most of the people when Bill Gates was interacting with him, when Stephen Hawking was interacting with him, they had no way to know he was a sex offender.
I'm pretty sure everyone knew.
I'm pretty sure they were both well before the sex offender.
No, I think I've heard Bill Gates saying in an interview that he made a mistake in doing that. It was
he made a mistake in talking to him, not because of he made a mistake because it was Jeffrey Epstein and all of this happened, not because he should have known he was a bad guy.
No, I'm pretty sure the issue is that these people knew, because it was also quite prominent, the story of him going to jail and stuff.
You couldn't just Google things back then as easily.
Malcolm. Yes, you could. You forget how
the two strings we're not pulling on in this because it's for a different day, different topic. If you guys want to hear about it, is their affiliations with Reddit and 4chan and how they influence online culture, maybe crypto as well. Anyway, love you, Simone. Bet you didn't expect to find such compelling evidence that he might still be alive.
Anon. Bro, are you okay?
I hope so. Well, how has nobody heard from this guy yet? How has nobody tracked him down?
A man who did his job, but he got his payout. You know what? Yeah.
Okay, I mean, we all hope. We hope that is what happened to the poor security guard who went on Reddit and said, I think I just saw Jeffrey Epstein being wheeled out.
Thanks.
All right, have a good one. As a final note, I didn't think to bring it up in the episode because it was such an obvious hoax, but then I saw Nux cover it, so I think I have to bring it up. There's this photo of Jeffrey Epstein in Israel looking older and with a beard, and it is very obviously an AI fake if you look at either the Hebrew text in the background, which is just gibberish, or elements like the guy's foot, which has an AI logo over it. We only ask for the smallest amount of incredulity, guys. The other video that seems maybe a bit more credible is this drone footage that claims to be from 10 days after his death, showing Epstein on Epstein Island. The final area where we can do an update video is the debate of whether jerky was used as code for human meat in the Epstein files. Simone believes very strongly that jerky was specifically a code for drugs because we don't see another code for drugs, and we often see the code jerky being used. We sent it in for lab testing. We sent it in for lab testing. And she's like, well, you would send drugs in for lab testing. But I'm like, but you might also send human meat in for lab testing if you're not sure what diseases it may have and you got it from a random source. And keep in mind, there's the emails, even Simone admits this one's hard for her to get around, that say that they were having a chef that eating it at a restaurant called Cannibal. I don't think there's a real restaurant called Cannibal. She thinks that's just somebody, perversion maxing in the way that they're talking about something. But that seems too convenient for me. The other one is somebody said they were having a meal of jerky and steak. Why would you have a meal of drugs and steak? And the other big one is refrigeration of the jerky that they talk about, meaning they're obviously not talking about jerky. But she's thinking, oh, well, that's drugs. And she's like, it's weird that we don't see any other mention of drugs, given that these sorts of rich people would want drugs, and we keep seeing people jonesing after their jerky. And it's weird to think that you would jones after human meat, even if you were weird like that, right? And then the other thing is, well, could it be blood? I don't think it's blood. I don't see anyone being into that. That seems too niche. But that's the other thing. And we could do a whole episode on it if people want us to go deep into it.
What was the people seemed happy? What were they saying? Gosh, me reviewing the comments was like a lifetime ago. Like 2 hours. And I've done something
on Cuba, if you remember.
Yes. Yeah, people were just kind of like, whoa, can't believe this is happening. And also people,
it's one of those
really
videos
glad.
I knew wouldn't do as well in the algorithm because it's not as salacious.
But people were glad that you brought it up because it indeed was not on their radar, and they appreciated that they could trust you to surface stuff that people aren't discussing. One person said that Mexico started resupplying Cuba already. So crisis.
Really? They did. That's going to change the timeline a lot. But in my latest search of this, it delays things, but not by much. Mexico would need to become a major supplier, and then it's only until the next election cycle.
And one person pointed out that, there's no way Cubans would send money back, that Cubans are so rich in the United States that Cuban expats in the US could probably just buy Cuba with all their wealth without actually feeling much hurt. And they're probably not wrong. So, I bet all the Irish in the United States could buy Ireland, even with all of its.
I don't know. Those Irish are a bunch of drunkards, Simone. Have you been to Boston? And these are not like Cubans, sturdy, upstanding citizens who work hard. We were talking about Irish here.
The Irish. Okay, fine.
Mixed. Come on.
A little different with the Irish. Oh well.
Yeah, a little different.
Okay.
Never been known for their business acumen. I'm joking, but it's true if you look at historic stereotypes
or their cuisine. It's so funny because all of the stereotypes about Scottish cuisine just completely got inverted. I can't get enough of haggis. I can't get
Scottish cuisine is amazing.
It's amazing. And then we go to Ireland, and I quite like Irish soda bread, but I'm sorry, that is one of the most low effort breads in the entire world. And even though it's good, I don't feel like you really get credit for it because it's so easy. And bread and butter is way too like easy of a win.
I wonder if non-Scottish people like Scottish. You're not Scottish in your ancestry, are you?
I'm a little Scottish, I think.
Yeah, because I love it, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's terrible," and I'm like, "No, it's like literally the best food in the world.
It's amazing."
By the way, if you want the best dish ever, and I'm so annoyed I cannot get good haggis in the United States.
Haggis balls, deep fried haggis balls.
Well, deep fried haggis balls are amazing, but I think one of the best dishes for fusion is haggis fried rice.
Yeah, but also like the worst food poisoning you ever got in St. Andrews was haggis fried rice, wasn't it?
Yes, really bad food poisoning.
So I'm surprised you would ever recommend it.
I mean, if you're making it yourself, you can do a really good job with it.
Let's say that you order haggis at a restaurant in Edinburgh, and then you're at an Airbnb and you want to use what's left over, it would be great for like if we lived there and we went out and we got haggis.
You can just get haggis from a butcher anywhere in Scotland. It's very easy to buy.
It's not fair.
It's very hard to buy in the United States. It's very easy.
And I heard that like Scotland's not doing so well in terms of its, I don't know, like it's going downhill.
It's become like a totalitarian state. It's even worse than the UK.
See, that's really disappointing because I always harbored this fantasy that, you know, once we're super old, we go buy a castle and you know, like one of those like $5 castles in Scotland. I know that's the thing; they'll be dirt cheap. I mean, the money's all in the maintenance and fixing and upkeep, so they're actually incredibly expensive. You have to be super wealthy to actually.
My family used to have a castle in Scotland. We could just go
I
buy
feel
castle.
The castle is the boat, is the island of the rich people world. You buy it if you just want an endless money hole. But anyway, I had this dream that we would end up, you know, in or around Edinburgh, along with all the sci-fi authors and intellectuals, and have our grandkids just come up and stay with us there, you know. But no,
we
it's not
need
going
to
to
get
happen
a lot
now.
richer, so we'll see.
I know. So we'll afford more old properties because we're already looking now at how we have to repair the floors of our homes.
And they'll have VPN bans by then, and I wouldn't live in a country with a VPN ban. I love some of our fans were like, no, it doesn't necessarily.
So wait, if you have Starlink, are you still subject to
the country would likely make it illegal to sell Starlink within the country, and they'll have easy ways of tracking if you're using Starlink.
Okay.
Keep in mind, the UK used to drive vans around to see who had TVs in their houses to hit them.
I heard that in the end that was mostly performative. I mean, now it doesn't.
No, I know, but now I'm just showing that's how dystopian they are okay with being seen as going, right? Like they're clearly
performative dystopia.
Anybody who is promoting a porn ban is promoting an eventual VPN ban. And they were like, no, that's not true. Look at the UK. It hasn't happened yet. And I'm like, yeah, but it's already on the table in the UK. It's on the table in almost every country that has a porn ban.
I actually feel like I like this concept of performative dystopia. I feel like even liberals would really love to just cosplay Handmaid's Tale, like Gilead or Gilead.
They do.
They you know, under his eye, they want to walk around with their little bonnets and their capes. They're so cute. You know what am I? Nice.
But I mean, the level of I think the people who pretend like porn bans don't lead to VPN bans are the types that have this deontological logic and like don't actually look at what's happening in the countries that already have porn bans and think through the long-term ramifications.
Oh yeah, guys, I told Malcolm that you hate his VPN take on porn bans.
But it's true. Every country that has done it is now tabling VPN bans as a potential political option and using pornography as motivation for that.
He got mad.
It's just a timeline when the two things happen thing. you are opening the doors on that one because you effectively don't have a porn ban if you don't have a VPN ban. You have a funny little law in the books that means functionally nothing, which is why. I mean, they're not wrong in pointing that out.
No, it's true. Right. Yeah.
She's American? Oh, look at this. Whoa, the American flag really good? Are you an American? Is America the best? Are you going to make the whole world America one day? How? That's a good plan. That's why we named you Octavian.
If you don't be on the Americans team, then we will kill you.
That's a good plan, buddy.
Yeah, and whoever says yes is surviving. And whoever says no, and I'll say, whoever says yes is gonna stay alive. Whoever says no is gonna die.
What's a little intense, buddy? You sure about that?
Yeah. So I guess you're all gonna get hands. I guess we're all gonna say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
Are you worried about killing people? Like maybe that's unethical.
No. I'm just trying to make the whole world American, bro.